Hey Trailblazers, I'm Leah.
I'm Rebecca Cunningham.
And this is Girl Tales,
a kids podcast of feminist stories for a new generation. Before we get started, I'd like to send a very special shout out to Rana Ajar and wish a very happy 10th birthday to Aria H. Aria and Rana, thank you so much for listening to Girl Tales. Grownups, if you would like to hear your child's name at the top of our next tale, head to patreon.com/girltales and donate today. Oh, and hey, do you love Girl Tales and making your own stories at home? Well, the Girl Tales starter pack is made just for you. It includes a vintage book of fairy tales, a Trailblazer pencil, a Girl Tales notebook, bookmark, and sticker. Everything you need to dream up your own magical adventures. Grownups can grab one now at girltalespodcast.com/shop. Now, on to our episode. This is Camp Freshwater. Enjoy! I'd like to tell you about a friend of mine. Her name was Sarah, and we met a long time ago when I was a little kid. I've always loved living here in Freshwater, and as you know, there's a lot to love about it. But when I was younger, one of my favorite things happened every summer. Camp Freshwater. It was the best. Think long days swimming in Freshwater Lake, day hikes up Ice River Mountain, s'mores by the campfire, and of course, making lots of new friends. Some people go somewhere else to go to sleepaway camp. I felt pretty lucky that my camp was in the same town that I lived in. One summer, it was my very first year as a camper at Camp Freshwater. A lot of my friends had gone the summer before and had an amazing time. I begged my mom all school year to let me go, but now that the day had arrived, I was pretty nervous. 4 whole weeks away from home? I mean, sure, I lived in Freshwater, so technically it was still home, but being a camper meant eating at the camp dining hall and sleeping in the camp cabins. It was my hometown, but it was also new, and it felt a little scary. I got to camp and met my counselors, who were friendly and welcoming. They showed me the cabin I was going to be spending the next month in, Cabin 5, and my mom helped me unpack my suitcase. All the cabins had numbers and corresponding names. Cabin Pirates was Cabin 2, Cabin Mermaids was Cabin 7, and the one I was in had a big sign hanging above the door that read, Cabin Princesses. I was excited to get to be a princess all summer, even though it would have also been fun to be a mermaid or a pirate. Once I was settled in, I walked with my mom back up to the entrance of the camp, gave her a big goodbye hug, and watched her walk away. With tears in my eyes, I turned back toward camp. The entrance overlooked Freshwater Lake, which sparkled in the sunlight like diamonds. A long dock stretched out over the lake, and I could see campers running off the dock and doing their best cannonballs and belly flops into the water, under the watchful eye of the camp lifeguard. It seemed peaceful. Then, suddenly, something slammed into me. I fell to my hands and knees in a cloud of dust. When I looked up, a young girl about my age was standing over me. She had dark brown, wavy hair and wore a periwinkle dress with high-top sneakers. On her face was a worried expression.
So sorry. I was running and then I turned to wave goodbye to my friend, Mr. Carrisford, and I didn't see you. I'm Sarah, by the way. Here, let me help you up.
Sarah reached out a hand to help me stand. I brushed the dirt off my hands and introduced myself. I'm Rebecca. I'm in Cabin 5. How about you? Sarah's face broke out into a wide smile.
What a coincidence. I'm also in Cabin 5. Hello, fellow princess.
Sarah stuck her foot out way behind her and curtsied low. I giggled and did the same. Well, how do you do, Your Majesty? Sarah linked arms with me, and we walked back to our cabin. I had been so nervous before, but as Sarah and I strolled down the path, our sneakers crunching in the dirt, all my fears about being away from home faded away. Sarah told me all about herself, She came to Camp Freshwater all the way from London. Mr. Carrisford, the man who she waved goodbye to, was a good friend of her dad's. Sarah's smile faded.
You see, my father died years ago, and for a long time I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I lived at a boarding school where the headmistress made me work in order to pay for my housing and my education. I had a few friends, but I felt very lonely. As far as I knew, I was alone.
That sounds awful, I said.
It was,
Sarah replied.
But Mr. Carrisford went looking for me. And when he found me and learned about how I was living, he offered to take me in. And we've been best of friends ever since.
As we continued the walk, I told Sarah my story about my grandma who lived in Freshwater, about how I had moved here a few years ago, but this was my first summer as a camper, about some of the people and magical creatures who lived here. When we arrived back at our cabin princesses, Sarah made me laugh by doing a twirl and prancing inside. It was nice to have a new friend. Sarah and I spent the rest of the day together exploring Camp Freshwater, and there was a lot to see. There were at least 20 cabins for campers. We checked out the rock climbing wall and the sprawling soccer field. We made friendship bracelets in the art center. We piled our plates up high with dinner at the dining hall, and we watched the sunset over the edge of Ice River Mountain. It was a perfect day. That night, Sarah and I and our bunkmates were getting ready for bed. For returning campers, this was a routine they knew well. But other campers, and for me, this felt new. And even though it had been a really fun day, I started to feel a little homesick. I thought about my mom and sisters. What had they had for dinner? Would we be hanging out playing a board game right now? I felt a pang in my stomach. I really missed home. And that feeling quickly turned to dread. I still had 3 weeks and 6 days of camp to go. How was I going to do this? I looked around at some of the other new campers and knew they were feeling the same way too. Some were even fighting back tears as they tucked themselves into bed. I felt a tap on my shoulder.
Princess Rebecca, what's wrong?
Just a little homesick. Saying it out loud made it feel real. I was really homesick. Tears stung at my eyes, but Sarah gave me a warm, encouraging smile and a wink.
I know you feel lonely, but you are in a room of friends, fellow princesses, Your Majesty.
Sarah stood in the center of the room and clapped her hands.
Attention, cabin princesses! Some of our Royal Highnesses are feeling a bit homesick, are they not?
A few campers nodded.
Well, I've always found what makes me feel better when I'm feeling sad is a little story. Come, gather round.
In the dim glow of the moonlight, we all grabbed our pillows and blankets and sat on the floor around Sarah.
Once upon a time, there was a group of princesses. Princess Sarah, that's me, Princess Rebecca, Princess Penny, Princess Maggie, Princess Alice, Princess Bernadette, Princess Clara, Princess Greta, Princess Skylar, and Prince Theo. And with a great crash, the skies opened and rain began to pour. And then the dragon spread his wings and took to the air. And Princess Rebecca realized that she didn't need magic at all. The only thing she needed were her fellow princesses and prince, otherwise known as her new friends.
Sarah began to tell a wonderful story, one filled with princesses and adventure and silliness. We were all characters in her story, and she gave us all moments where we got to save the day. In her story, she showed us that true princesses are princesses on the inside just as much as they are on the outside. They help others and are generous with their time and resources. It hit me that Sarah was using her time and resources, her amazing storytelling gift, to help all of us feel comfortable. And by the time she was done, everyone in Cabin Princesses felt at ease and ready for bed. We all stood up, gave each other clumsy curtsies, and crawled into our bunks. I couldn't stop thinking about Sarah's story. I thought to myself, maybe Sarah is a real princess. After that night, the rest of my first summer at Camp Freshwater flew by. Every day was packed with fun activities, time spent out in nature, uncontrollable laughter, and memories I'll always cherish. Sarah and I spent almost every moment together, but I never did ask her if she was a real princess. I suppose it didn't matter. She made us all feel special, and that was the most important part. When the 4 weeks were over, Sarah was heading back to London. I was heading back home. We gave each other a long goodbye hug and promised we'd write each other letters every single week. We couldn't wait to see each other again next summer. But after that year, Sarah never came back to Camp Freshwater. The next summer, I received a letter from her in the mail explaining that Mr. Carrisford was visiting India for the season, and she was going with him. And the following summer, she was going to theater camp in London. Each year, something just seemed to come up. Part of me understood it was a long way from London to Freshwater, and Sarah seemed really busy, so it was probably hard to come back to camp when there was just so much else to do. But it was hard to ignore how sad I felt sometimes. I missed Sarah. My mom had always told me that friendships come and go, but after my first year at Camp Freshwater, I was so sure that Sarah was going to be a lifelong friend. But how can you be lifelong friends with someone if you only saw them once as a kid? At least we kept our promise. We've always written letters back and forth for years, but I haven't actually seen her for a long time. Until now. Oh, here she is. Sarah!
Your Majesty, Princess Rebecca. Oh, how I've missed you.
That was Camp Freshwater, written by Megan Bagala, with help from our Girl Tales Club members, Penny, Maggie, Alice, Bernadette, Clara, Greta, Skyla, and Theo. Grownups, if your Tailblazer would like to join the Girl Tales Club, head to patreon.com/girltales and join the Girl Tales Club team or above. Produced by Chad Chenail. Performed by Tessa Flannery and Rebecca Cunningham. Executive produced by Rebecca Cunningham. Girl Tales is a Cordelia Studios production. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And grown-ups, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for listening, and remember, I believe in you.
There's a hill and a road and a path where I know you must go. Through the sun, wind, rain, or snow. But wherever you venture, you can always come home. 'Cause I trust your heart, I trust my heart, and I trust your mind, I trust my mind, and I trust the friends, I trust the friends I know you will find o'er the hill and on the road. So off you go. And remember, I believe